The anime begins with the grand finale of a reality show named Patisier's World Tournament. The hall is full of audience, and everyone is curious about the winner. Participants are busy creating their final products. An unknown man wearing a chef suit is also excited about being the winner of the show. He is standing in front of a big, artificially decorated hen, thinking of his dream about his land of sweets, which he has dreamed of since he was a child. Then, he moves his decorated hen toward the judges. Unfortunately, he cannot handle the balance of the huge hen, and it falls on him, and he dies on the floor. Before his death, he shed tears over not achieving his dream. He wanted to make the world's greatest sweets and use them for the land of sweets. He is reincarnated in another world. The scene starts with the voice of a little boy, Pastry Mill Morton, describing the land called Suzerain. He heard that when her father, Casserole Mill, became the first lord of Suzerain, the barren land could barely grow wheat. His father and his friends spent 20 years cultivating hard soil. They had to manage to grow a fief of 3 villages of about 40 people each. It was difficult to grow wheat and barley. Pastry Mill Morton is shown practicing sword fighting with his father. While practicing pastry, also dreams about sweets, cakes, fruits, and sugar, and dreams about the land of sweets, which distracts him from practice. Head Retainer Field comes to them and tells him he has one good news and one bad news. The good news is about the bean fields that will yield a significant harvest this year. Pastry Mill Morton thinks that sprinkling lime on the soil will improve the crop's yield. They have a bumper bean crop this year, and they will enjoy caramelized roasted soybeans, which are a classic tea snack. They can sprinkle soybean flour on them for extra flavor. Master is surprised and asks him how he knows all this. He replies that it all happens in her mind as he has been reincarnated. They like his policy, and then Head Retainer Field tells the bad news that the bandits have escaped from the country and are heading to their fiefway. They are 50 in number and will reach them in almost 2 months. Fuel and Casserole discuss how they can handle the bandits. Pastry is sitting with his family for lunch and tells them that he is going to put Pastry through a sanctification ceremony. Mother Agnes says that it is much too early for Pastry, although the sanctification ceremony is the world's coming of age ritual. Then they prepare Pastry. His sister Josephine dresses him, and his friends help him get ready for the ceremony. Mark, Lumi, and other friends of Pastry wave hands and wish him good luck. The father advises the head retainer to look after the land and people. Then he put his hand on Pastry's shoulder, and magical lights came on, and they both vanished at once. In the capital city of Bovaldia, Pastry and his father seemed very excited to see different fruits, vegetables, brown sugar, chocolates, and sweets at one place. He says he had never seen so many people at once since his reincarnation. He thinks that these things he had never seen before. Father says if he can make it through the sanctification ceremony, he will buy anything he wants. Pastry becomes excited and confused about their selection. Pastry asks for red apples, but his father tells him that those, or sour bankas, were grown up in the north, and it's rare to see them here in this market. Pastry decides to buy some growing bankas for their fief land. Father becomes happy to see him interested in the goods for another land. He is developing the instincts of a true suzerain. An old man welcomes Pastry and his father by calling his father the Lord of Mortown. The old man remembers his last meeting with Mortown at his daughter's sanctification ceremony. He says that he had been listening to his tales as he protected his people from last year's frost. Mortown thanks God for helping him protect them and introduces his son, Pastry Mill, to him. He tells him that today he wants his son to undergo the sanctification ceremony. Hearing that this old man is in shock, he asks, does he really want to do that? Morton replies that he would like to be a true sanctifier. Josephine is holding a basket and asks Mr. Quill about the sanctification ceremony. She tells him that when she went to the ceremony, she was told she has no magic power, so she could not go there. Then she prays for Pastry. He assures her that the boy will be okay there. He informs her that they measure how much power the person has. Pastry is sitting on a chair. His hands and eyes are tied with a piece of red cloth. The old man gives him bitter water to drink. Pastry drinks it but does not like its taste. Then, he is left alone in the dark room where he cannot hear or see anything for hours and hours and hours. Quill continues her speech by saying that magic is the granted power hidden inside a person, and this is the only way to draw it out. After 1.5 days, the father is worried for his son, Pastry, who has not gotten up yet. Pastry is dreaming about his land of sweets. He sees magical light, but then his father awakens him from his dream. The powers of the boy were checked by reading the Holy Script. It is revealed that Pastry has great magical powers and has passed from the ceremony. On the way back home, Pastry and his father enjoy delicious apples. Some bandits are robbing a small village, taking precious things and food from that village. The condition of the people in that village is not good. They cannot fight with them. As they burn their fields and kill some of them, they make slaves. The leader of the bandits assumes that they do not have enough food for their rest and should move towards another place to get more things. After coming back from the capital, Mortland with his son Pastry looking after the security and the implementation. They decided last time to make boundaries to secure the village from bandits. Fuel informs him that a village called Fief of Liptivor is attacked at night by those bandits, and they will soon arrive in this village before their 2 months estimation. Mortland orders Pastry to call the leaders of every village. Pastry runs his way, thinking about his land of sweets that will not be real if the bandits arrive and destroy the fief. He wants to stop them. Father evaluates the situation and acts quickly and temporarily to seal up small villages. The people of those villages move toward the main village. They would lure the bandits there to avoid sporadic fighting. Fuel shows his excitement to his boss that he has rounded up as many folks as he could. Now the villagers are ready for the attack of bandits, but instead of that, they are less and weak than the bandits, thinks Pastry. He realizes that instead of all this strategy, they have to make another plan. Suddenly, his friends Mark and Lumi, calling themselves his lieutenants, come and ask to be part of his plan. Pastry requests them to gather some rocks for him, and Lumi is surprised and curious. Pastry replies that he needs just small rocks that can be thrown easily. Then he tells them that the bandits are at the fief's boundary. If they hear any sound or any disturbance, they get themselves inside the walls before checking any further. Time lapse in the evening. Lumi and Mark are busy gathering stones and talking about the magic power of their Lord Pastry. They hear a movement when they check to see if bandits are coming. They run back towards their village with fear. Everyone is alert. By listening to their voice, the door is closed. Fuel orders them to stay with Lord Pastry. Lord Suzerain makes an energetic speech to fight strongly with robbers. He encourages them to fight, then he orders Glaciage to stand to the east to the center region, and Cointreau will remain on the western canal. The rest of them will go with him. Fuel says that bandits are not as familiar with this area as we are. They will be at a disadvantage in the dark. They might wait and attack in the morning. The master replies that he suspects they are running low on food and provisions and will attack in the dark. Lord Mortland, along with Fuel, detour the whole village and asks Pastry to be in charge during his absence. Pastry decides to do something before his father returns. Mark sends a message to Cointreau at the Western Canal to use flaming arrows when bandits arrive. The babies of the village are scared and crying about what will happen to the village, but Lord Pastry's mother gives them hope that nothing will happen and their father will save them from those bandits. Pastry thinks that to make his dream come true, it is necessary to protect the fief first. To protect the people and bring a smile to their faces is the true meaning of his dream. Lord Mortland scans and gets an idea about the bandits and their luggage. They have dangerous weapons with them. They're about 50 to 60 in number and are bad with starvation. They look like professionals and have some captured villagers with them. After that, they run back to their village. The scene shifts to bandits, one of whom informs his chief that there is no sign of life in the surrounding villages. The walls are useless and filled. The chief acknowledges it and figures out that they have sealed the whole village. Suddenly, they are attacked by Lord Mortland and Fuel. After seeing they killed some of them, they ran back, and the chief of the bandits shouted not to follow, having just captured them. On the other side, the Cointreau follows the order of Lord Pastry and fires the flame in the sky to give bandits the signal of the war. Then he comes to Pastry to inform him that his father and Sir Fuelard are being pursued by bandits. They are heading to the west side. To see the flames, Lord Mortland understands that Pastry has trapped the bandits. Lord Mortland and Fuel reach near the walls, and bandits are also behind them. Then, Pastry orders them to set fire arrows on them, and many of them fall down. The chief then realizes that it was a trap. Then the kids of the village gather the stones and throw them. It is a strategy planned by Lord Pastry when Lord Mortland and Sir Fuel are on a round. One by one they fall, and Lord Mortland and Sir Fuel reach and appreciate Pastry. Unfortunately, the leader of the bandits reaches the kids' side and attacks them, but Pastry comes between them and is injured by his sword. The situation is worse, and the village is surrounded by bandits. The Lord then thinks to use his magic powers. He replicates the words of the bandits' leader, and they all fall. Their eyes burn. The leader asks Pastry what he has done to him. It was magic. A burning stone is lying on the earth. The arrows in the canal, the burnt grass, and the destroyed place. Then a man comes to Mother Agnes, and Sister Josephine tells them that they have won. The war is over, and they also arrested some bandits. Then Mother asks if her husband, Lord Mortland, and her son, Pastry, are injured. He replies with grief that Lord Mortland is saved while her son, Pastry, took a blow to the arm. Mother Agnes bows down with pain and grief and says what she can do, hoping that it will be just a scratch and nothing serious. The man replies that there is nothing to worry about. Then his sister Josephine asks him why her father and brother have not come with him. Lord Pastry is ordering his fellows to take the remaining stacks to other villages because there are not enough stacks in the main village. The bandits are tied up and walking in line. Lord Mortland plans to ship them off to the country of reeds. He says it's a sensible way to claim that they deal with the bandits rather than simply driving them out. Mortland asks him what sort of gratitude they can expect in return. He says they at least need compensation for their campaign expenses and losses suffered from temporarily sealing the other two villages. Lord Pastry collects all soldiers in the line and gives them awards for their best performance during the war. He gives 1 spear and 1 silver coin to Glacage for his tremendous contributions to the front line defense. Marcarello and Luminito are both awarded for serving well as Pastry assistants. They each get a sword and a bag of barley. Marcarello and Luminito are both taking the barley bag home. They are both happy and grateful to Pastry. They feel the bag is too heavy to take, and then Pastry comes towards them and helps them take the bag with him. He thanks both once again and appreciates their willingness to participate and for encouraging others to take part. Lord Pastry says to himself that he is the one who hits on the head of the leader of the bandit at the end. He is so glad that no one was killed by those bandits and that all are safe and now living peacefully on their land. Mark announced in an excited voice that the next suzerain lord is safe and is around with us, and we can get back to life as it was. They are all excited and moving while talking and laughing. They reach home, and Luminito is super excited and tells her mother that his Lord Pastry awarded him with this sword and this barley bag too. Mother welcomes them warmly and appreciates them. She then asks Pastry if, because of her fool son, he caused any trouble. Lord Pastry tells Mark and Lumi that they both did great and are indispensable to Mortone's future. The mother hugs Luminito and gives him the title of Great Child. Then the grandfather of Luminito orders the vine and some food to celebrate the achievement of his grandson. All the people are admiring them. Luminito and Marcarello want to monitor prisoners who are in the cage that is locked in a dark room, and some men are there to guard them. The boys make plans to go inside and check them out. Mark agrees with him. When they reach the door, the 2 guards do not allow them to enter, but they enter by distracting the guards. They get close to the leader of the bandits who is tied to a tree in a dark room. They try to frighten him, but the leader asks the boy from where he got the sword, and the boy replies that it is a reward that he has received from the Lord Pastry. The leader says that it is his sword, and once they turn him, they will kill him, and he will die. The leader shows his wish to teach the use of his sword to that little boy. The boy asks how to really use it, and the leader defeats him, gets the sword from him, and escapes from the cave after hurting Lumit. Lord Pastry comes to know about the situation and asks the doctor to stop the blood from running out from Lumi's wound. It does not matter if it leaves a scar. Lord Pastry follows the leader and thinks about trapping the leader if he uses his magic power of replication. Father comes to know the whole situation and decides to follow Pastry, as he is alone behind that dangerous bandit. The leader of the bandits is running on horseback while keeping his sword on March's neck. Suddenly, a rope stuck in his neck and he fell to earth. He comes to know that all traps are set by the little kid Pastry, and the leader becomes angry and attacks Pastry. Pastry also attacks him with his sword, and they both fight well, but unfortunately, Pastry's sword breaks and the leader attacks him. Father is looking for Pastry, but cannot find him. At last, they reach the place where the leader and Pastry were fighting and get the pieces of Pastry's sword. A father becomes worried about his son and goes home with the broken sword of his son, Pastry. On his way home, when they open the door, Pastry is sitting on his mother's lap. Pastry explains that he replicated Father's magic on himself earlier and used that as his magic lets him replicate a copy of anything onto anything else. He is interfaced with the original, which includes other people's magic spells, and he did so in this way. His father forbids him to tell anyone that he can use other people's magic. Marcarello is ashamed of his fault, but Pastry forgives him, and then they visit Luminito. She's feeling better and Pastry decides to make Banca pie for her. Banca pie is a delicious fruit, and he trims them with honey because they are very sour. With this pastry, she advises Luminito that everyone has different tastes and qualities, and she should not compete with them. Then, other people taste those Banca pies, and everyone loves the taste and smiles. Pastry thinks that his dream became true, making everyone happy in the land of sweets.